Ready, Mrs. Michelle? Okay. Good evening. This is a call to order for the Business Operations and Finance Committee meeting for Tuesday, March the 5th at 5:30. Michelle, could we have a roll call, please?
Absolutely. Tia Johnson.
Present.
Brian Anderson has a previous commitment. Brian Nichols.
Present.
Brian Anderson obviously is at a previous commitment, and the other two members are present.
Thank you, Mrs. Shope. Could we have approval for the agenda?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Agenda passed.
I'll move approval of the minutes.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Shady, time for the January financials.
Yes, good evening. Thank you. Another meeting where we've got a number of items on here, so we'll try to move relatively quickly through a few of those so that we have some time for our Chartwell's presentation towards the end as well. But we'll begin with the January 31st financial activity report for the month ending January 31st. And I actually want to start with the financial activity report before going to some of the financial pages, just to kind of walk through board members. There's a couple of new additions to the packet of materials this month that hopefully you find helpful and meaningful. Let me see if I can just make this a little bit larger for the public to see online as well. I go, that was it good? It's too big. Whoops, that didn't register. There, that's perhaps a little bit better. Okay. So not new, but the monthly financial summary. This chart here presents the revenues and expenses for each of our accounting funds that's used throughout the school district. And you can see total revenues for the month of January, just over $5 million. Total expenses, just over $6.5 million. So a net change or a variance there, utilizing just over $1.5 million in fund balance over the course of the month as well. If we scroll down a little bit on that page, you know, we talked a little bit about total revenues trailing total expenses, but more importantly, let's also look at fiscal year-to-date expenses through the end of January. Our fiscal year-to-date expenditures just over $43 million, with revenues of just over $36.6 million, so a difference of around $6.4 million. And again, just to help emphasize the need of trying to maintain an adequate fund balance so that we have the cash available to meet our day-to-day obligations in those months that we are a bit low on our revenue streams. Any questions with regards to that before I continue on? Hearing none, I'll just going to come back up to the table of contents. In Google, I've got these linked a little bit, and I want to jump to the cash and investment report. So let's jump down here, and you can see that this is new to the package here this month, something that I was accustomed to doing in my prior district, and we finally were able to kind of finagle our way and make this happen. So what this report does is it actually displays where our cash assets are sitting, at which financial institution, at which type of account. And it displays then the interest rate, and I note that not all of the cells there are filled in. There are 3 cells for the health plan, the OPEB trust, and the capital improvement trust. We had an issue when we converted from Blackhawk Bank to First Mid Bank and Trust that our interest calculations weren't appropriately attributed and credited to our accounts there. So those amounts were then posted in January to make up for the December absence of interest earnings, along with the January interest earnings. So the interest rate calculation is a bit skewed, essentially because it kind of doubled the interest. So I left those blank for the current point in time. But more importantly, if we look to the right, you'll see the couple of columns there for current year. You can see end of our current month, so this reflects the end of January, the amount of assets sitting in each of our financial accounts, and then end of the prior month, so that would reflect December 31st of 2023, and you can see the values sitting in there as well. If you happen to look at the general fund checking account, that top one, you can see end of the month, current month, 2.5 million, end of the prior month, 5 million. We did make some changes in our general fund checking account with First Mid Bank and Trust. Previously, it had been a $5 million floor every month. We reduced that to $2.5 million, thereby putting more investments or assets on deposit in the ICS shadow, which is kind of a sweep account, thus earning higher interest earnings. So that's kind of why you see that change. And then also, you'll see a notation there for the previous year, so that would reflect the end of January of 2023. And, you can kind of do that comparison side by side, where our assets are, how they've gone up, how they've gone down in each of the various bank accounts. You likely have questions about the bank accounts and how they're all used. And if that's something that you have interest in, perhaps I can educate the board via email on that, or we can bring it back at a future meeting and kind of dig into those individual bank accounts as well. But again, I'll do a brief pause for any questions.
I like your suggestion. If you would forward that to us at a later date via email, but this is good. I do have, on the ICS shadow, so
Yeah.
that earns higher interest rate?
It does, yes.
What is the current interest rate?
Yeah, that's a great question, and that's hard for us to get. So currently, we don't get a bank statement from First Mid Bank and Trust, just kind of a byproduct of the conversion from Blackhawk Bank to First Mid Bank and Trust. So we're still working with them on producing that. Those assets are actually scattered amongst a number of different financial institutions within the First Mid Bank and Trust family. So they're up to that FDIC limited on deposits, but they're invested in various ones, and each of those may have a little bit different interest earnings. But that is something that we'll be working to get and to identify. So you'll note that is blank here this month. And quite honestly, we just got February statements with the month ending, and it'll be blank at this point in time next month as well, simply because we don't have access to that data yet. But certainly be working on doing that. Do note that it would be higher than the 1.14% in our general checking, probably very similar to the 5.12% you see for our debt service account, which really our health plan, that OPEB trust, and the capital improvement trust fund accounts, those three that have that interest rate column void should all be in that 5% range. Any other questions on the cash and investments?
Not a question, just a thank you for doing this. It really helps.
Yeah, I think it's a good example, or it's just transparency, right? Here's where our assets are, here's the bank accounts, the why those bank accounts exist. Yep. And then the last item that is new is a monthly purchasing commitments. In School Board Policy 672.1, the purchasing bidding requirements directs that the administration will make the Business Operations and Finance Committee or the Teaching, Learning, Equity, Pupil Services Committee aware of any purchases made in dollar amounts between $50,000 and $100,000. Because that is embedded in policy, I thought it was important for us to get it embedded someplace in the financials, and I thought just putting it in the financial activity report provides that same level of transparency. So we did do some reporting. We set up some reporting within Skyward that we can run every month that should help identify that activity so long as it's being processed through Skyward. We were not aware, could not identify any purchase orders or other commitments within those $2 values that the district entered into during the month of January of 2024. Not only that, we do know that a month from now, in April, there were a couple of things that we'll be reporting on for February activity, but just a month premature right now. So any questions or comments there?
I would echo what Board Member Johnson said. I appreciate what the changes that you're making. It's like a continual improvement every month. So
I'm not sure it's every month, but
Keeps getting better. Good.
that's the intent, right?
Thank you, Stephanie and staff.
Yeah, thank you. So, over the last couple of weeks, this phrase are saying if trust, transparency, and accountability will win the day any day, keep running through my mind. So trying to do just that. All right, we'll switch over a little bit. If you're following along in that financial activity report, I'll back up a few pages, and then there's sections here on the revenues and the expenses then that tie out to some of the highlights on the actual reports as well that are linked or attached in board docs. I won't touch on a lot of these because we just don't have time tonight with other agenda items, but I'll kind of touch on some of the major ones here. So looking at revenues for the month of January 2023, that middle column in particular, here our general fund, we can scroll down to the very bottom of page 1 and we'll see that we had revenues of $3,111,000 and some change compared to just under $478,000 the same reporting period a year ago. So a pretty sizable difference, and a couple of things to note as we go back up, and I'll start at the top and work our way down some of the big activity. Row 211, that property tax at the very top of page 1, we have $594,000 in property tax received during the month of January. We'll have additional property tax receipts that occur in February. The school levy tax credit arrives in April. Additional property tax payments are received in June. And then at the end of June, we book an accounts receivable for property taxes that'll be received by the district in August. So that's kind of the lookout as far as when those monies arrive. The district did actually receive more property taxes, and we'll talk about that here in a few minutes. That's going to be recorded under Fund 38, our non-referendum debt. So again, we'll speak to that here briefly. Kind of continuing down the page, some of the other things of note, the interest on investments, source 280, over $84,000 in interest earnings during the month of January. That's great. Kind of put that in perspective, that would essentially pay for the average teacher compensation, both salary and benefits. So in interest earnings in 1 month, we were able to cover the staffing costs of a certified teacher or an average certified teacher for the course of the school year. So that's positive for us as well. Our largest source of revenue for the month is about 2/3 of the way down the page, federal special project aid from the DPI, source 730. And you'll see revenues there of just under $1,530,000. So quite a bit of federal aid coming our way, federal revenues coming our way. It's important to note that the vast majority of that is actually a result of grant claims. So here in the month of January, we received grant claim payments for a number of our grants, including our 21st Century Community Learning Center grant, our homeless ARPA and ARPA 2 grants, both related to homeless students, Title II, Title III grants, ESSER 3 grant, ESSER 3 summer school grant, all coming in. So that all kind of gets accumulated and reported there in that 730 row. The row immediately below that, ESSA Title I. Title I is reported separately from all the other grants, and you can see that we received just over $546,000 there. Looking at Title I in particular, if we look at fiscal year to date at $816,500, and we look at fiscal year to date of a year ago, $817,500, we're talking about a $1,000 difference. Just how tightly those align is kind of interesting. And typically, Title I doesn't have great variance from month to month in how the funds are used. Typically, it's tied to staffing, which is relatively constant. So it's one of those oddities in the financials where you can look at things and easily compare it to where you were last year and how tight they should be. So just to kind of point that out. Any questions on Fund 10 revenues before we jump ahead to look at Fund 27 and some others? Seeing shakes ahead, no, I'll continue on. Fund 27, our special education fund. Here, total revenues for the month, $853,000 almost dollars. And again, if you look over at where we were a year ago, January of 2023, $901,000. So again, you know, a $50,000 difference, but fairly tightly aligned again. Looking up at the source of revenues within Fund 27, the largest source of revenue comes from our state special education aid at source 611, almost $631,000. And again, if we scroll over a couple of columns and you look at January of 23, $633,000. And again, just how tight those two align. And even when you look at fiscal year to date, nearly 1.9 million in the current year to just over 1.9 million from a year ago, about a $35,000, maybe $40,000 difference. But when you're talking almost $2 million worth of spend, that's still fairly tightly aligned. So, and then the next fund that we'll talk about is Fund 38, our non-referendum debt service fund. And you heard me earlier talk about we did receive other property tax revenues. And that's recorded here in Fund 38, Source 211 property tax, just under $964,000 received there. And it's important to note, and I put this in the financial activity summary document as well, that per our debt covenants entered into by the district with previous long-term debt borrowings, the district's initial property tax receipts, the first dollars that come into the district for property tax purposes, need to be segregated and set aside to meet future debt obligations. So we can't use that $964,000 for day-to-day operating purposes. That's why it has a separate fund. That's why it has a separate bank account as well, is to help segregate and make sure that we've done our due diligence to set those assets aside to meet those future debt payment obligations. Any questions on Fund 27 or Fund 38? Good. Moving along, we'll just talk about total revenues for the month one more time. 5 million, just over 5 million, $29,000 in revenues compared to just over 1.9 million last year. Looking at fiscal year to date, 36.6, almost 36.7 million in the current fiscal year, just over 49.1 million in the prior fiscal year. Percentage-wise, dollar value-wise, we're running a little bit behind schedule, but there are some explanations to that based upon some of the financial activity that was booked in prior years. So not concerning at all on my end. Okay. We'll jump over to expenses and just kind of hit this real quickly as well. Try to keep this at a high level. So looking at our expenses in Fund 10, boy, if we jump down to, I think, page 4, yeah, here we go. Looking at total expenses for the month of January, just under 5 million, 4,916,000. Looking at where we were January of 2023, 5.3 million. So a variance there of about $400,000. Again, fairly tightly aligned. Fiscal year to date, just over $33 million in the current year, just over $37.5 million in prior years. So trending better on the expense side on a fiscal year to date basis. Coming back up to the top, the lion's share of our spending, of course, in the general fund is attributed to our staffing expenses, both salaries and benefits. That makes up about 77% of our total Fund 10 expenses, which is fairly normal. So nothing really concerning there at all. I have other commentary that was reflected in the monthly financial activity report. I think just in the interest of time, I'll defer on that and ask if there's any questions or specifics that board members had.
Yes, Mr. Chady, I do. On page 1, under salaries, you know, I know all the changes that have gone on in the last year, but I just have a question that the teacher salaries are down about almost 10% year over year to date, and so are administrative assistant salaries, paraprofessional, et cetera. So But then administrator salaries, clerical salaries, instructional support salaries are way up. What exactly is that category? What goes into that category?
So administrator salaries, looking at that total budget, would likely capture just about all of the administrative positions, I believe, because I believe administrative salaries and benefits in total end up about 5.5 million. So I feel fairly confident that that administrative salary should capture all of the district's administrative positions. Administrative assistant salaries likely incur or would include the salaried administrative assistant positions, and I'll use Ms. Shope as an example, Donna Dooley as an example, Jenny Miller, my administrative assistant, should all fall under that. And then other clerical salaries, I'm not positive on this, but I would think that that may have something to do with like school secretaries, and I'm kind of trying to read down the rows to see if they would be captured elsewhere, and I'm not sure that I see where they're at. This district has a number of different salary line items, many more than what I've been accustomed to in my career, but then again, I was working in much smaller school districts too.
Well, again, the one that really jumped out was the instructional support salary, line 116, and that's a 53% increase over last year, and I don't know what that entails.
Yeah, so that, my guess would be that that would likely capture our instructional coaches and perhaps some interventionist type positions as well. And I think if we really dug into those numbers, we'd see that while it may have 1.5 million or so budgeted for salaries, my guess would be that a good lion's share of that is probably underwritten by federal grants like the ESSER 3 grant,
Okay.
Title I grant.
AGR.
Yeah, AGR, thank you. The
Instructional coaches are teachers, they're not administrators, just for clarification.
Right. Yeah. Any other questions there?
The last one I have is if you go down, on page 2, just a question, actually.
Yep,
Pupil travel, which is busing, correct?
correct.
Okay. So it's up right at $100,000 year over year. Can that basically all be attributed to the closing of the 2 schools?
I would say that that's probably the lion's share of that. Our contract with Durham did provide for an increase in the 23-24 school year. And I can't remember, I want to guess that was maybe 4%, I believe. Could be off on that a little bit, but 4% is not going to contribute to a $100,000 increase. But yeah, certainly, moving our west side middle school students to the east side schools did incur some expenses for that, you bet. Yep.
Thank you.
Again, just in the interest of time, I think I want to go down to the very end and just talk total expenditures across the district as a whole, so we can get onto some of the other agenda items tonight. Total expenses for the month of January, just over 6.5 million. And again, looking back, January of 2023, just over 6.6 million, about $110,000 difference, favorable to us this year. Total expenses fiscal year to date, just over 43 million as compared to 47.5 million last year. So again, favorable to the district in those terms as well. So a quick recap, maybe it wasn't quick now that I look at the time, but are there any other questions on the financials before we get into other agenda items tonight?
I think we're good. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Point of order, we need to move that forward to the full board.
Very good. Thank you.
I'll make that motion.
Second. All those in
Aye.
favor? Aye. Motion passed. I did have one other question. So I think we had this question last month. So
Sure.
Are we still on target for a balanced budget at the year end?
Yeah, I think looking at where we're at with revenues and expenses currently, I feel comfortable. Answering the question, are we on target, is hard because the last month of the fiscal year in June, there's a lot of activity that takes place in the month of June, both from revenues coming in and expenses going out. So June can kind of make or break, but as we look at where we're at today compared to where we were last year, we're sitting in a favorable position.
Very good, thank you.
You bet.
Okay, next item, Information Technology Managed Services Agreement 2024, 25, 25, 26 school years.
Yeah,
Let me start off with this.
Yeah.
While you get yourself kind of ready for that too. It's kind of hard to keep going and without a pause. So, when we think about our technology services, a couple of months ago, we came to the board and we realized that it didn't align with our E-rate opportunity. And I did ask the board to consider us aligning this to our E-rate conversation. At the current time, we didn't have as many bids, or we didn't have bids at the end at the time. And we worked to, solidify that over these past two months. One could argue 3 months. And so we went out to bid, and we have, of course, worked through that conversation as well. One of the things that I think when it comes to our partners with TC Networks is that, they've been with us for, let's just say, a little over 9 years. And each year, they have pretty much kept their costs the same. And that's very important when you're thinking about over the CPI conversation for many, many years. One could argue that it could have been going up with that same conversation, but I think our services also changed. So they've been working with us, right? I think that's something that is also need to be noted in this conversation. I know it's not necessarily going to be in that presentation per se, but I wanted to make sure I added that conversation because in today's time where we can say our partners pretty much have kept their year-over-year costs pretty much the same over a 9-year period of time. That's something that does need to be noted. Mr. Tate is going to, of course, give us a rundown of kind of where we are now. He's going to give us a quick snapshot of this conversation, and then, of course, we'll take questions from there. Mr. Tate?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Garrison. So again, it seems that the managed services IT agreement, TC Networks is our vendor, has been on the committee agenda for probably like the past 3 or 4 months leading up to today. And in fact, we could have had this resolved last month had I not uploaded the incorrect documents. But it's interesting, as I was reflecting on that, I looked back at how the board and the committee addressed the managed service IT agreement a year ago. And at that point in time, TC Networks had provided a 3-year opportunity for the school district of Beloit to renew their services with, again, no cost increase. And for whatever reason, the committee, the board, administration made a recommendation to just enter into a 1-year agreement with TC Networks a year ago. But what I noted was that the bid response proposal that they provided included a 4% increase. So I contacted Jake, and Jake and I had a conversation in my office, Jake Slabeck with TC Networks, about, hey, Jake, should I contact TC Networks, your boss or people, or is that a message that he could go back to them? Because my thought process was, well, why didn't the district just enter into the 3-year commitment last year and then lock in, 3 years of pricing with no increase, instead of doing 1 year last year and then getting a new pricing that reflected a 4% increase. So Jake was able to have those conversations with his folks at corporate, and they were able to honor last year's commitment, which was my ask, is, could they honor that prior commitment if we were to enter into the next 2 years, which they have done. So, if you recall, last month, the pricing was in excess of $815,000 annually, and that pricing now returns back to the $784,572 annually for each of the next 2 years. And again, Dr. Garrison just made some mention that throughout the time that the district has contracted with TC Networks, they have not increased their pricing to the district at all yet. I don't know how many more years we can get out of them maintaining that, but that is appreciative. So again, we do utilize federal E-rate funds to help offset some of the costs associated with TC Networks, and that funding amounts to just under $275,000 annually. And unfortunately, the federal E-rate decision-making needs to be done here by the end of March. If I recall correctly, I think it was the 27th or 28th of March. So a decision is necessary this month if we want to take advantage of that cost offset opportunity. If the committee's comfortable with proceeding forward this evening, we can. If we need to table and bring it back up in 2 weeks at the March 19th committee meeting, we can do that too, though I'm really not sure what 2 weeks, does as far as providing us with more information. So Mr. Slaybeck is here. If anybody has questions to ask of Jake or I, would be more than happy to address those. Don't all ask at once.
Questions? Well, thank you, Jake. Thank you, Mr. Chady. We appreciate, it's never easy to go ask the boss first. I've been there, done that, so we appreciate it, and thank you for being around for so long. And
Thank you. It's been our pleasure.
I think we should move it forward to the board for full board for approval tonight. Well, let me read it officially. So, advance the 2-year contract extension with TC Networks to provide our information technology managed services for the 24-25 and 25-26 school years to the full school board for consideration and action.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Very good.
And I'd like to thank, again, TC Networks for, being our partner in this conversation. When I first got here and back in November, as Mr. Chady gets his next presentation going, when I first got here back in November of 22, I came in, of course, trying to figure out technology, right? And naturally, you run into the people who kind of know what they're doing, and they get you all set up and squared away. And I can say that, ever since I've had my, first conversations with TC Networks, it's been consistent. And one of the things that we want in our administration is to be consistent, and that's something that's very important to me. They've been consistent in how they responded to our district needs, not just mine, of course, our district needs. They also have a success rate from a fulfilled, like they call it when we call it, when something go wrong in the classroom, they have a real high success rate in getting things dealt with, which is a very positive space for teachers. And to the teachers in our district, again, they all know that their response rate is very important because no one wants to be without technology. And so when it does happen, TC Networks has been there to really answer the questions that need to be answered. And so I thank TC Networks for, again, their partnership and then, of course, their consistency, which is very important to me. My next conversation, turn back over to board. In this case, Committee Chair, Mr. Nichols.
Thank you, Dr. Garrison. Okay, we're going to talk about the summer 24 proposed roofing project for Hackett Elementary School.
Yeah, thank you. So I've got Tommy Bricko, Director of Facilities, here with us this evening. And again, this is kind of follow-up to a month ago when we brought forward some of the roofing consideration needs district-wide. But I'll turn it over to Tommy.
Thank you, Mr. Chady. Just to bring everybody's attention back to the screen here, if y'all recall last month,
Yep.
we started here. And just for folks in the room that aren't aware, we consulted with EUA architects in Findorf last fall. They wrapped up their conditions assessment report of the entire district and broke it down by category and rating across all of our facilities. Following the report of EUA, we consulted with Apex Roofing Consultants to do follow-up inspections, visual inspections, at the schools that scored a 2.5 or lower on the ratings here from EUA. After the visual inspections done by Apex, there were core cuts made on the roofs at Aldridge and Hackett. Those were the two schools that were deemed the most dire in need of replacements of the roofs. So following that, we put the project out to bid, received bids from 3 qualified roofing contractors local to the state line. And Pioneer Roofing came in the lowest labor bid out of the contractors, and Roofers Mart was the lowest material bid that came out of that. So total cost for Hackett, we're looking at $477,351. The question that came out last month from the board was related to the warranties. So I went back to Apex, I believe Board Member Johnson, it was your question regarding those warranties, and I confirmed with Apex Consulting, workmanship warranty is 5 years and standard across all of the contractors that bid on the project, and material warranty is a 20-year, and that's, again, standard across all of the contractors that bid on the project.
Thank you.
Yes. So here we are, and again, I think I started the last conversation a month ago off. We have this wealth and pool of data provided to us by EUA. It's my recommendation that we move on that, and having Hackett scored the lowest, I think it was a 1.6. In my professional opinion, that is really no option other than to get sections A and B replaced. Since my 8 months starting in the district, there have been numerous service requests that came through regarding leaks in that section of the building. So again, I think, while we have this data, while it's still fresh, we use that and we make our strategic steps forward to get our facilities updated.
Just real quick, displaying a overhead map, so to speak, of Hackett, of the various roofing sections. So section A, which is the long section, essentially the old portion of the building. And then section B, this section over here due for replacement. Coming back to this data here, this indicates the sections over on the left-hand side, and then on the right-hand side, the age or the initial install date to those sections. So both of the sections at Hackett that are being proposed for replacement were originally installed in 1996. So going on 26, 27 years of age, 25 years is usually a good benchmark to try to get out of a roofing section. A couple of years beyond that, in all honesty, we probably should have addressed this a year ago, but we had other things going on in the facility operations, taking care of reconfiguration, Tommy's position being vacant, another position within the facilities being vacant as well. So a little bit behind the 8 ball on roofing, but getting back into a regular rotation where every summer we're trying to touch some of our sections of roofing that need replacement to stay on top of and perhaps try to get ahead of issues.
And I just, following up a little bit on that too, we have, internally, we've already deemed Hackett as sort of off limits, if you will, for summer school activities. So again, I think an opportune moment this summer to get Hackett taken care of, so.
Just a side comment on that too, this was something that we did budgeted for this roofing repair over at Hackett. And that's also something that I just want to make sure the board is, aware of. We, as Mr. Chady has mentioned, have tried to, put some things aside. Of course, we don't have enough to take care of all of what we do need to take care of, but we are trying to address, the needs that we definitely need to address, and Hackett is one of them. And so again, thank you for your presentation, Mr. Bricko, and of course, Mr. Chady. Questions from the board?
We have no questions.
I'll move approval of recommending this to the full board to end tonight's meeting.
I'll second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Move to the full board for tonight's meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you both for that. Okay, we're moving on to item 4A, cash flow line of credit, First Mid Bank and Trust.
Yeah, some more just a discussion and information item for you. We need to renew our $7 million line of credit with First Mid Bank and Trust. The board may recall about 3-4 months or so ago, we did a 3-month extension of an existing line of credit that we had then with Blackhawk Bank. That extension provided both the district a little bit of time to address some cash flow calculations, and quite honestly, it also provided Blackhawk and First Mid a little bit of a break as well, because that was kind of right in their acquisition phase. So it provided a little bit of relief on their ends as well. More importantly, that extension that we entered into, that 3-month extension, expired the first part of February. Not really concerning, because I knew at that point in time, really for the next 3-4 months, we're kind of in an okay position. But I do note that coming up here in the mid part of June, school districts hit a low point in their cash availability. So it's important for the district to put a new line of credit into place to provide that buffer in the event that we would need to execute or do a draw and borrow some resources in that midpoint in June. There are certainly some accounting maneuvers that we can do in advance of that if necessary. Don't tell some of my major vendors that are here in Chartwells and in TC Networks. Oh, Jake left. So, but sometimes, obviously when you're short on cash, you may need to hold a bill for a little bit of time until you get some revenues from the state to cover that bill. So we may face that challenge the midpoint in June, but we'll see. So more importantly, state statutes say that we can borrow on this line of credit up until June 30th of 2024. So that'll certainly get us past that mid-June potential deficit position. But then we cannot do any borrowing thereafter until after we do our budget hearing, which we hope to do in August, first part of September this year. So as we approach the summer months, Ms. Elwood and myself will be doing some rather robust cash flow planning. We may very well need to do a draw or borrow some monies on June 28th, 29th, 30th to have on hand if we forecast a deficit in like mid-August. We would unfortunately then have to carry. We can invest that money for a little bit, but of course our interest expense, our interest rate's going to outweigh our investment interest earnings. So just to kind of put that on the back burner with everybody, this is an agenda item on the regular board meeting this evening as well. It's been before the committee, but again, I'll ask if there's any questions or clarifications that are necessary or needed at this point in time.
Could you share, how much did we borrow last summer? Do you know that number?
Yeah, the district has not tapped or utilized the line of credit in, I think, 3 or 4 years. So it's been a number of years. Unfortunately, our fund balance over the years has kind of been deplenished, which is unfortunate, but that kind of impacts our abilities then to make it through these low points going forward. So we're hoping not to have to use it. I always maintain I'd rather make interest earnings than pay interest expense. So we'll certainly do our calculations very meticulously as we look forward to that summer. If we can perhaps avoid having to do a borrowing the end of June, for a potential need in August, we'll do that. But we also have to be cognizant of maintaining cash flow for payroll and other accounts payable purposes as well.
Okay, so we're just going to discuss this. We don't need a motion, right? So
No action, right? It's already scheduled for action by the full board here in probably an hour and 15, 20 minutes or so. We'll see how close we are.
I do just want to just note that, if there are any questions about this, again, I want to make sure we're able to capture, those line items, of course, right now. One of my thoughts is that, again, over in the past, we haven't had to use these funds. Again, it is our goal, naturally, as I already mentioned. But when I got here, that was also a discussion that I had with our previous business service, advisor, that we haven't had to use those funds. And they're typically, again, are used for, the what ifs and to be able to carry us just in case. Again, this fiscal year, as Mr. Chady has mentioned, may look a little different in June come August. But I do believe we've positioned ourselves not to have to use those funds, but to have them on just in case is, something that's very important to a school district. So I just want to make sure if you did have any questions that you were pondering, that we can kind of capture those now for the group.
We have no questions.
All right, very good.
Moving on to Chartwell's Food Service Management Partnership update.
Yeah, so thank you. So about a year ago now, the district was going through a RFP process for a food service management company. You may recall that the district had a longstanding relationship with Aramark Food Service. As a result of that RFP process, led by Dawn Smith back here, Director of Food and Nutrition, is that right?
Yep.
I always get it wrong, but the end product of that was that the district was ready, prepared, willing to make a change to Chartwell's. Amy Kerrigan from Chartwell's is here. She's the area director that oversees the school district of Beloit. We've got a brief presentation. It's really just to provide an update. So, a year ago, the decision was made essentially to make the change. They've been operational for about 6 months, since the first part of September. So again, just an update on where we're at today and going forward. Amy?
You want to click it? Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you for having me this evening. So a little bit about our programs. Go ahead. So this is your current management team here with Chartwell's. We are looking for a resident dietitian. So that's our only outstanding position at this time. I received a resume this evening, so we will be interviewing in unison together to move that forward. Our hope is that person will get into the classrooms and teach nutrition education to our students and help with our menu diversification. I'm down here on the bottom. I've only been here about 3 weeks, so I'm welcome to be here, but your last area director left for some medical issues, so we wish her well. You had Amy LaFranc, Amy LaFranc was here. She was our marketing director. She was here today, so she visited schools with Dawn and I, and we hope to have a full team here pretty soon. One of our programs that we launch is Student Choice. It's an opportunity for students to give feedback on what they want to see in their cafeterias. This program was run with 2 options of a Roost sandwich, it's a Nashville hot chicken sandwich, which was won against mac and cheeseology. Mac and cheeseology is a concept at the high school that is there every day. So students got to vote on which one they liked best, and Roost won. There was an incident that occurred Friday, January 12th, where school was canceled due to a winter event, and our team was able to quickly collaborate with Dawn and provide meals for the local community. So we just wanted to call that out here. Both appreciate you for reaching out to us and for the team providing meals.
Just to make a connection there, that goes back to that tire fire incident.
Thank
and,
you.
Just how the district was able to gather our resources, even with the weather that was ongoing and really gearing up to meet those needs.
So, one of our pillars is making sure we give back to our associates, to your associates, to those in this community. And so this is just a collaboration of giving Cheers Awards, recognizing our associates for what they're doing and how they're feeding the kiddos. So what everybody wants to see probably in this meeting is, how are the meals doing? This review is from September to December. This is based on what was in the bid versus where we are now. So you'll see over those several months that meals are up. I think September is a little bit of a hit or miss. As you're going through transition, you'll always see a little bit of a dip, but we're on the upward swing. And then we have a lot of great things planned as we come forward. Just a little different snapshot here of those months. September, again, being a little bit of a dip, which is pretty common when you transition new accounts. So as we look ahead, we really look for those programs to help participation, to help engage the students. Looking a little bit back into February, we had Valentine's Day specials, National Nacho Day. We will be launching Discovery Kitchen. It is on your menus now. There are teaching engagements to get students to try new items that maybe they had never tried before. I believe those are on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but they're on your menus now. In April, we have exciting news. We have a celebrity chef that will be coming on campus. We're still working out those details now, so there'll be more to come with that. But the celebrity chef will actually be demoing and cooking food on site, be able to answer questions for any students. We'll select a school, we'll work with that principal, and we'll go forward there. And then additionally, just engaging our associates, making sure they're trained, making sure we're rewarding them, making sure they stay. All right, a little bit about Discovery Kitchen. I spoke just a bit about those are already on our menu, but this month's feature is Plant Power. So on the menu, you might see strawberry mandarin greens or a kale salad with apples. Maybe something students wouldn't traditionally see on their menus or traditionally try. So just trying to offer a little flavor there. Next month is about waste. So we'll feature items around waste and how to control that. Global Eats, I'm not sure if you have seen much of this, but the celebrity chef kind of speaks to this. We feature 4 different countries. Celebrity chefs and regional dietitians have worked with us to make compliant menus. And then we showcase those menus in your different cafeterias. Again, hoping that kids will try food from different locations, cultures, and we're looking at Korea, Caribbean, Mexico, Italy, etc. And so this is the event, the celebrity chef. He's based in Chicago. He was from Mexico, and he will speak to that. He'll give a little bit of his overview of where he's been, what he does. He'll actually demo the food. We'll do tastings with the students. Again, we're still determining, I think we initially said Todd, but we're still talking through, does that make the most sense as we move forward? So as we solidify those details, we'll make sure everybody is aware of that, but this is just a little bit about him and how we will showcase that moving forward. And I think we're nearing to the end, so I went pretty quick. Associate engagement, we do weekly meetings with all of our associates. Actually, it was this evening, and they go through various topics, both training and both customer service. We will continue those throughout the year, ensuring that we're meeting the marks that we need to meet for both the district and each of the respective schools. I went really quick, so any questions you have regarding food service or the programs?
Are those international breakfasts or lunches at the schools, are those listed on the district website calendar, Dr. Garrison? Do you know?
So,
They're not called out specifically for
Oh,
Global
I don't think
Eats,
so.
but they are on the menus, the calendar menus for the month.
Sorry, the slide looked like it was,
There may be a hidden slide. Is there one? Is that what?
which one are you referring to again? I just want to make sure I'm looking at the same one.
the one that says you are cordially invited? Who?
Oh, so that's a celebrity chef.
Celebrity chef. Yeah.
I'm sorry, celebrity chef.
So yes, as soon as we confirm those details, hopefully by the end of the week, that'll be, we'll do a press announcement for the media, et cetera.
Oh, wonderful, thank you.
You're welcome.
All the places that you have the celebrity chefs from, let me know when you're going to visit those places. I would like to go.
You want to come with me?
So I just want to put that in there.
I would volunteer also.
Thank you, thank you.
Along those lines, if committee members, board members would ever have a desire, need to want to come and see a breakfast service or a lunch service, please feel free to reach out to myself and I can connect you with Dawn Smith, and perhaps Dawn and I can meet you and provide you that opportunity. And if we're at the right spot at the right time, maybe there's an opportunity to actually taste some of the meals as well, so.
Well, being a foodie, I would love to do that sometime, whenever. But thanks for what you're doing. This is amazing.
Thank you.
This is like walking into a restaurant. So
But we have a little bit of opportunity.
Yeah.
So, we're still transitioning, but
Sure.
we'll
Yeah.
continue to grow.
It's kind of a big transition going from one food service management company to another, especially in a district of this size. I give Dawn a lot of credit. She organized the RFP, the same individuals that participated in the RFP process a year ago, and got them back together just last month to say, hey, let's take a 6-month review and see, how Chartwell's is meeting our expectations, what they said they were gonna do, and are they doing it? So we, they did that. We identified some accolades that were due to all, and we also identified some opportunities that Chartwell's aware of and working on also. So it's about making the program better.
Great. Well, thank you, Don. Thanks for all your help and hard work in this, and everybody involved. This is impressive.
Thank you.
So thank you. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
And again, that's going to be made at the general board meeting too, right?
The Chartwell's was not going to be on,
Okay.
yeah, that was just to the committee this evening, so, yep.
That's everything for you, Mr. Shady, right?
It is.
To the next meeting date, which will be Tuesday, April the 2nd at 5:30 PM. And do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. We've adjourned at 6:26 PM.
All right, board members, it's 6:30, so we want to get started. Need y'all to come on back, please. Is everybody logged in and ready to go? Okay, I'm going to call to order the March 5th, 2024 Human Resource Committee meeting at 6:31 PM. Mrs. Shope, could I have a roll call, please?
Absolutely. Greg Schneider,
Present.
Amy Levy,
Here.
Megan Miller,
Present.
Brian Anderson had a previous commitment, Brian Nichols,
Here.
Tia Johnson,
Here?
and Sean Levy.
Present.
All members are present except Brian Anderson.
All right. Is there a motion for the approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Board Member Miller, seconded by Board Member Nichols. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Is there a motion for the approval of the minutes?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved by Board Member Amy Levy, seconded by Board Member Megan Miller. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. We're now on to employment recommendations. A motion may be made to convene the Human Resources Committee into closed session pursuant to Section 19.85, parentheses 1, parentheses C of the Wisconsin State Statutes relative to considering employment recommendation exhibits. Is there a motion? Okay. All right. Does someone have a, since there's not a motion for closed session, does someone have a motion? Or are there questions? We'll move to 3B. Are there questions for Exhibit A and B?
Yeah, just one question. Just wanted to confirm with respect to the position transfer from substitute teacher to teacher at Merrill, are the necessary licensures in place?
Good evening. So for the art, I can tell you real quick just to confirm. One second, technical difficulties here. Well, it's not allowing me to access where I need to go. Commonly, if there isn't a valid license, it would have a limited term contract annotation. So if I could get back to you on confirmation on that.
Are there other Exhibit A questions?
Yeah, thank you so much. I was just curious what the pay difference was for, like, the rate of pay for, there's two different paraeducators. Is it just like a years of experience thing? It's like the last two in the new employment bucket. There.
Any other Exhibit A questions?
Yes, to acknowledge your question. Yes, although the amount seems off, I'm going to say that they both should be 1676. I do believe that that's a typo. We don't have a $1 difference in wage.
Okay, so when we vote on this, is that like, should we say like as amended? Would that be appropriate?
If you don't mind, I apologize for the inconvenience.
No, it's no problem at all. No, I just want to make sure. Thank you.
Okay, are there any other Exhibit A or B questions? Okay, Tia?
I'm just wondering, are all of the resignations voluntary resignations?
Yes, they are.
Thank you.
Any
And-
other Exhibit A questions? Okay. Anybody with any Exhibit B questions? Okay, is there a motion for Exhibit A and B?
I move approval of Exhibit A with the amendments discussed, and if necessary, a licensure amendment that was also discussed. Exhibit A and B, please.
Is there a second?
Second?
Okay. So it's been moved by Board Member Amy Levy, seconded by Board Member Tia Johnson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes unanimously. We're on to 3A, our next meeting date, Tuesday, March 19th, 2024, at 6:30 PM. And is there a motion for adjournment?
So move.
Second.
It's been moved by Board Member Amy Levy, seconded by Board Member Brian Nichols. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes unanimously. We're adjourned at 6:39 PM. All right, I'm ask all board members if you're ready. So we're getting ready to get started. All right, I'm going to call to order the March 5th, 2024 regular board meeting at 7:02 p.m. And also make our public announcement that the Board of Education would like to let our families and viewers know that our regular board meetings are being simultaneously interpreted. You can watch the Spanish interpreted meeting through the link found at the board website under the Watch Meetings tab with tonight's date. In order to accommodate this interpretation, we will be monitoring the pace of our meeting to allow time for the interpretation, and I'd like to remind our board members and others speaking, please to speak more clearly, slowly, and one at a time. Thank you so much for your consideration and understanding. Mr. Shope, can we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Tia Johnson,
Present.
Brian Nichols,
Here.
Brian Anderson has a previous commitment. Sean Levy,
Present.
Megan Miller,
Present?
Amy Levy,
Here?
Greg Schneider.
Present.
All members are present except Brian Anderson.
Is there a motion for the approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Somebody give a second.
I'll second.
All right, it's been moved by Brian Nichols with a second by Greg Schneider. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion passes unanimously. We're on to D, Pledge of Allegiance. I will lead us in our pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Shope, do we have public comment this evening?
We do. I have a few in the room, and I have several to read.
Okay, we'll start with the readings.
Okay? The first message is from Melissa. My daughter started the Junior Nights program in the spring of 2022 and played on the Beloit Memorial Girls JV team this year. Under the direction of Coach Delana Johnson, my daughter has learned more than just the skills of basketball. She has learned to be confident on and off the court. She has learned responsibility, dedication, accountability, teamwork, and the importance of being a successful student athlete. These girls have worked so hard to be where they are today in terms of basketball, and I hope that Coach Delana is able to continue to be the great leader and coach that she is to our student athletes. I truly appreciate everything that she has done for the program and for my daughter. The next one is from Amanda. As another week comes and goes, we still sit with no answers and what appears to be no progress. I cannot help but wonder, what is the process for the school board when an investigation is conducted? What is the turnaround that the public can expect answers on what has become a public issue, such as the administrative leave of Coach DJ? As the season ends, I ponder on what this means for the Beloit Memorial girls basketball team. Typically during off-season, there's a healthy amount of open gyms, as well as the girls participating in a basketball league during the summer. I can't help but wonder if my child will miss these last postseason opportunities before her most crucial senior year. Opportunities she would not have that were only provided by Coach DJ and the Lady Knights coaching staff. The impact of the drawn-out length of this investigation and the absence of Coach DJ is very heavy and has a domino effect, not only on the players, parents, and those that are supportive, but on the opportunities and on the skill sets that could be gained. In all honesty, Coach DJ's absence is a hindrance to the team this year and a possible hindrance and barrier for scouting opportunities. The longer this investigation goes on, the more hardship and anguish it creates. Everyone is still waiting on a reason of why the girls' mental health and athletic future was not taken into account before abruptly interrupting their season right before regionals. When should we expect these answers? Why are no answers being given to begin with? This has become more than just a personnel matter. This has become a personal matter to many. We deserve answers. The community deserves answers. Without a doubt, the Lady Knight team deserves answers on when they can expect their coach back. Thank you for your time. Amanda. The next one is from Amber. To whoever is going to read this, Coach DJ has done a lot for me as an individual. And for whatever reason she is suspended for, I really hope you guys give us our coach back. She's more than a coach. She's like family. She would sit there and care for us and help us if no one else could. All these girls you see speaking about her are all family. It's more than just basketball. It's a family. Please give us our coach. Thank you. The next one is from Derek. To whom it may concern, in an educational epoch where caring, committed, competent, and conscientious adults are at a premium, Delana Johnson stands out amongst that remnant. As a coach, change agent, and one charged with responsibly socializing youth, Coach Johnson has demonstrated herself to be exemplary. Coaching girls basketball in a social media-driven meta-modern era is no easy task. To provide quality coaching in atmospheres where race, gender, and sexuality play a large role in the transmission of values and academic success is additionally difficult. Coach Johnson is navigating this rocky terrain intelligently and with respect for the youth and families she encounters. Coach Johnson deserves to be given the opportunity to continue being a stabilizing force in the lives of these young ladies, and affecting positive change for the entire Beloit learning community. This one is from Mandy. Good evening to the board and everyone present. My name is Mandy Franks. I have to tell you all a firsthand story of the positive impact that Coach DJ has on her athletes' lives so that you can really see how important she is to your school. During my 4 years at Beloit Memorial High School, I played varsity basketball for 5 different coaches. One of those coaches was our athletic director because no one else would coach us. We had a reputation of being unsportsmanlike, not disciplined, and above all else, bad at basketball. We were known as the girls who skipped class, got suspended, showed up late to practice, and cussed out our coaches. Our program rarely had enough girls for 2 teams, and our varsity team was lacking in the structure needed to win games. All of this was reflected in our record, attendance, and grades. I played 3 varsity sports throughout all 4 of my years, and it's safe to say basketball was my least favorite. I hated the environment and did not care about the outcomes of our games. I felt that putting in effort was a waste of time since I was the only one doing it. This all changed when Coach DJ came my junior year. I did not get a junior season 2021 because of COVID, but Coach DJ and Asha had me in the gym, weight room, running bridges, playing basketball outside at Fruzen, and doing anything possible to keep us playing, even though we had no games. This 6 a.m. workout showed me that these coaches were tough, and since I was so used to basketball being my no-effort sport, I was a little shocked and frustrated. By my senior year, 2022, we started team bonding, doing study tables for our grades, and having multiple lifts a week. This was more work than I put in for one season than my other 3 years combined. Coach DJ made sure that to have one-on-one meetings with us in order to know what was going on in our lives outside of basketball so that she could help in any way possible. When I was a Porter Scholar and taking chemistry at Beloit College, I felt overwhelmed and broke down to Coach DJ during one of those meetings. She encouraged me to take practice off to figure out and remind me that school is always number one. From then on, our relationship strengthened, and she guided me through my softball recruitment process because she knew that was where my heart lived. Without Coach DJ, I would not be starting on a nationally ranked team as a sophomore while majoring in biochemistry on a pre-med track. I owe so many of my accomplishments to Coach DJ, who inspired me and was one of the few people who told me that I could do it. Without Coach DJ, who knows if I would have played sports in college or pursued a difficult degree or even gone off to school at all. My parents did not go off to school after high school. Who knows if I would have broken that generational pattern. I know for a fact that without Coach DJ, navigating college would have been a hell of a lot harder. She still checks up on me in school and even came to visit me during my freshman year when I thought it was too hard and I wanted to quit. No matter what this meeting is to me, no matter what this meeting is to discuss, just think about how you want the reputation for Beloit Memorial to change. If you would like the girls' basketball team to know in the same way that it was when I was a freshman, you should probably find a new coach. If you want to continue the upward trend that Coach DJ has started and see these girls through college like me, then give this woman her job back. This is your chance to prove you actually care about the girls and their futures. I sincerely hope you make the right decision because it affects them way more than you. The next one is from, I believe it's Marquez. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Hello, I'm writing in support of the action of Beloit Memorial High School not only retaining but fully investing in and supporting the vision of Coach Delana Johnson. Internet, my time knowing Coach DJ, she has shown an unwavering commitment to the growth and development of young female athletes in the Beloit community. Her passion has manifested in the growth of BMHS girls basketball program. As a coach and former Big 8 product, I have been around the Big 8 since 1996, and I've witnessed what was once a perennially strong girls basketball program struggle to be competitive in the conference. Prior to Coach DJ's arrival, the BMHS program had 4 coaches in 4 years and were not only struggling to win games in the Big 8, but struggling to field teams beyond the varsity level, forcing kids who were young and unprepared for the varsity level. By the end of Coach DJ's second year, you could see tangible progress on the court, and most importantly, the number of kids participating increased. She was inspiring the kids and igniting the community. From the development of a young program to increased numbers in the high school program, it is evident Coach DJ is having a tremendous impact on girls basketball in the BMHS community. It is rare to find a coach who both knows the game and knows how to lead. In Coach DJ, you have both. In short, y'all got a good one. Don't let her go. Thank you for your time. The next one is from Chloe.
Michelle, did you say Chloe?
Chloe. Hello, my name is Chloe. I played for Coach DJ my freshman year of high school. Now I am currently a sophomore in college. Since the day I met DJ, she has provided me with endless support and guidance to get me to where I am today. DJ put in countless hours with me on the court. Even when I was no longer one of her players, she provided me with encouragement and enlightenment. She saw a vision for myself that I could not yet see, and she didn't let me settle for anything less. Now I could sit here and keep going on how DJ impacted me as a player, but she impacted me even more as a person. the bond DJ and I have created because of basketball over these 6 years of knowing one another is irreplaceable. She has taught me to be a leader, always speak up for what is right, and never let people walk over me. She has taught me to help the youth and give back my knowledge to kids who not too long ago I was in their shoes. She's provided me with the opportunity to work at the Beloit basketball camps and give back to the youth. She is always a phone call away, providing me with the opportunities and wisdom. Coach DJ has become family, not just to me, but my entire family. She has took the time to create relationships with my whole family, and I don't know too many coaches who do that. It is unfair to the kids that their coach was taken from them at such a vital time in the season. These student athletes face adversity in the community, at home, and in the classroom. Basketball should be their comfort space where they shouldn't have to face adversity. Coach DJ provided them with that. Then you guys took her away. I would know firsthand how DJ is with the kids. If you guys want what's best for the kids, you wouldn't take their captain away. You wouldn't take their safe person away. If you wanted what was best for the kids, you would look at how they were verbally abused in their game versus Westosha High School. These kids speaking up for their own personal safety should be enough. Their coach defending them, as any adult should be enough. The fact that it was individuated and presented as there were no jurisdictions over the investigation is abused and unjust. If you want what's best for the kids, you would understand this situation hurt them more than benefited them. You would listen to the Beloit staff and players. Thank you. And the last one I have is from Mickey. To whom it may concern, my name is Mickey, and I am speaking on behalf of Riasha's mom and dad. As parents of Riasha, we are still not understanding why Coach DJ is not coaching. She stood up for these ladies during an uncalled for, tough team situation, and from my point of view, has been punished for putting the girls' basketball team first. She has done a lot with the program in a little time, and it seems as if it was headed to be a better place than it has been in previous years. We are not sure what we could say to have her reinstated as coach, but if we actually had a voice in it, that is something we would like to see. Thank you. So that concludes all of the emails.
How many did you read in total?
I'm sorry?
How many did you read in total?
Did you ask how many emails or how many are in the room?
How many you read in total? The emails.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
She read
How
8.
many? You read 8 emails? You read 8
Yes.
emails, okay.
Yes, sorry.
All right, okay. How many do you have for public comment in the room?
$13.
Okay. Sorry, because I forgot to read this at the beginning. So the Board of Education meetings are conducted for the purpose of carrying on the business of the schools. The board, as representative body of the school district of Beloit, wishes to provide an avenue for any individual to express interest in and concern for the schools. Accordingly, the public is invited to attend any sessions of the board or any meetings of board committees. At every regular meeting of the board, time is set aside for the personal presentation of individual or group comments. Each person wishing to speak during this time shall complete the public comment card with their first and last name, home address, including city and state, if other than Wisconsin, the topic to be addressed, and whether you are speaking for or against the topic. The comment card shall then be given to the board secretary for entering into the public record. Each person will be given up to 3 minutes to speak on their topic of interest or concern. Should the individual require translation assistance, a translator may be of the individual's choosing or one provided by the district. Public comments requiring translation will be given 6 minutes. The Board of Education asks that individuals complete public comment card, give it to the board secretary, and approach the microphone when called upon. And we have our norms for participation. All right. An individual's 3 minutes may be yielded to another individual. However, each person must complete a public comment card, indicate the speaker if speaking or yielding time, give the public comment card to the board secretary, approach the microphone, state first name, and that the 3 minutes are being yielded to another individual. An individual may speak on behalf of a group, however, no more than 2 other people may yield his, her, or their time to any one speaker. Provisions of the open meetings law shall govern the procedure for the conduct of board meetings. No person shall interrupt the board meeting by speaking out from the floor. The board will not take action on public comment topics that are not on the agenda, but may, if appropriate, respond. The Board of Education endorses the following statement made by the chair. Norms for public comments during board meetings. Members of the public are welcome to attend all open meetings of the Board of Education. Individuals attending board meetings are expected to conduct themselves in a respectful and courteous manner that models appropriate behavior for our students. Individuals wishing to comment are expected to comply with the following norms in order to maintain a respectful and orderly meeting and to prevent discussion of confidential matters in a public forum. Comments should be directed to the members of the Board of Education and not district employees, students, or other members of the public in attendance at the meeting. Signage, banners, or other material which impedes any person's view of the proceedings shall be relocated. Speech that is belligerent, disorderly, disruptive, repetitive, or which exceeds the allowable time permitted for each speaker is prohibited. Concerns or questions that entail the disclosure of identifying information regarding specific students are prohibited. Response from the board, if any, will be limited to clarifying inaccurate information, seeking additional information from the speaker, or acknowledging that the speaker has been understood. The board will not debate with an individual, and the board may not take action on an item raised during public comment that is not on the meeting notice/agenda. The chair will interrupt and rule an individual who violates any of these norms out of order. If ruled out of order by the chair, the individual's opportunity to address the board will end immediately and the microphone will be turned off. Thank you for your participation and courtesy. We can begin with the first speaker.
Okay, the first person I have is Natalie.
Good evening. All right, so here we are again, standing before you on Coach DJ's behalf with no answers or direction as to what's going on. Back on February 20th, Mr. Garrison and Mr. Levy told us that this was still an open investigation and that they could not tell us any specific details. Interesting, though, Westosha released their findings a week prior, basically calling all of us liars. Mr. Garrison then released his and supported Coach DJ's decision and the team, yet she's still on leave. But why? It is my understanding that the board is waiting on Mr. Garrison's decision, and then they can decide on how they want to move forward. So what is taking so long? Coach DJ is not allowed on school property. She is not allowed to have contact with the team. And for what reason? Because she replied to an email that went to Westosha's athletic director. She didn't do that maliciously. She was sticking up for her team, and she thought she was sending it to our AD. I've hit reply all. I still have my job. I mean, we have people in power right here in this building, directors making over $116,000 per year that admitted to sexually harassing an employee on a work trip while drunk, and he received 1 day administrative leave unpaid. Or let's not talk about the former teacher and coach that was fired from Beloit Memorial for sexually harassing female students. Yet our athletic director knows about this and still assigns him to ref our girls' basketball games. Is it because they are men? Or more specifically, white men? You are making it seem to the public like Coach DJ did something that would blow our minds, something terrible, painting some picture like there is more to this story, and there isn't. And you're wrong. This whole situation has been handled poorly and unfair, and honestly, I don't believe the board is just sitting around waiting on Mr. Garrison's decision. I believe some of you know what is going on, and if you don't, aren't you his boss? This is literally crazy to treat someone this way, to keep her and the team waiting for no reason at all. The election is soon. You want all of us to support you and vote yes for your referendum, yet it seems like some of you don't support the staff, the students, and you're not listening to what taxpayers want, and you clearly have something personal against Coach DJ.
The next person I have is Stephanie.
Just a minute. Ms. Shope. First of all, one, I'd like to say, as a board, we do acknowledge the difficulty of the situation. The Westosha report that was released, their administrator sent that at a different time. This board did not have that report at the time that it was sent. Dr. Garrison has released his report. Some of the actions that you spoke to are things that may have happened in Beloit, but the 7 of us that are here today were not the board members that made some of those decisions.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Stephanie. For those who don't know, I do have a child on the junior nights. So I'm speaking on mom mode, okay? Ignore my shirt, all that, ignore everything. I'm just speaking on what I know, and I'm gonna try to sugarcoat it as much as I can. Long story short, my culture growing up, born and raised, my parents were illegal immigrants coming into this country. I am the first born and raised in the States. I come from a family of 4 siblings. I am the third. We have broken so many cultural, generational things that my parents coming into this country have broke themselves. So coming in, you either, in my culture, you sit down, shut up, be seen, not heard. And that is something that I am not gonna allow my child to be a part of. She does go to the Lake School District. She does pretty much what she's told. I tell her to go through the chain of command. So if she does not going to be following the chain of command, then you go to the next and the next and the next. If nothing is to be done, in general, she has issues with certain staff since the 2nd grade. She went through the chain of command. If something wrong, let mommy know. If something's not being done, I am the last one to step in and make sure that something is done for my child. So for the fact that I have met Coach DJ, she will keep tabs on my child at the school. My child does have behavioral issues. She does have issues with certain staff and peers. But the thing is, if no one is going to hear her, why is she going to step up and say something? So that's what she has been told to learn in 2nd grade as a child in the school district of Beloit, to just sit there, be quiet, and deal with it. She was being harassed. She was being bullied. Mom, I threw a water bottle at a boy because he touched me. Go for it. Punch him in the face. I really don't care. She's defending herself. So I'm not gonna allow my child to be a part of something where the girls, pretty much of the team, are being told to sit down, shut up, be quiet, being harassed for the way they look, for the way that they dress, for the way that they represent themselves, and being told to go through the back door. I'm sorry. If I was there at that game, excuse me, I will raise hell. Because I will not allow my child to be harassed by the way she looks, and the fact that she's mixed. I'm not going to allow that. Why? Because that's not right. It's plain and simple. It's not right. You're pretty much being told to be quiet and let others deal with the decision, knowing that it's pretty much messing people up left and right. I met Coach DJ. She will always say, your child is doing good. I'm keeping tabs on her. Awesome. My child does not trust staff in general. So for my child to trust an individual, that says a lot. This is my firstborn. She knows what to do and how to do it, but when she tells me, Mom, I don't like this person, it's for a specific reason. She calls people out on what it is and what it's fake. So for my child to be on this basketball team, for the junior night girls, and then for the older girls to be a tutor and a mentor for my child, that says a lot. And DJ, not knowing who she was at the time, introduced herself to me, knowing for the fact that my daughter was taken under her wing, and I did appreciate that about her. And when I tell you my daughter does not trust everybody, if you know my child, you will know how she is. So the fact that she told me, Mom, Coach DJ told me this. Yes, I was upset. I was angry, but I let it out during practice. I let out my frustration. And the fact that she's there as a support, not only DJ, but Asha as well. So pretty much delaying it, to me, I'm sorry, that is a pathetic thing to do, knowing that mentally these girls are struggling. This is some of them, it's their last year probably in high school, and they want to end it with their coach. So the fact that my daughter could be going on possibly with Coach DJ, I hope so. But if not, that is a devastating choice, and I hope the school learns from that decision that they make. Thank you.
The next one I have is Gianna Griffin. I'm sorry, Gianna.
Hi, my name is Gianna Griffin, and I just want to let everybody know just how much Coach DJ means to me. Coach DJ was not a regular coach. She was like family. I know I haven't been playing basketball for a long time or nothing, but what I do know is that Coach DJ is funny and smart and definitely by far the best coach I've ever had. She's reliable and treating me like she's known me forever, even though it's only been a couple of months. Coach DJ was and is my inspiration today. She's picked me up when I've felt upset after and during a game. She is the reason I try so hard, even while injured. She is by far my best supporter through everything. Coach DJ is more than just a coach to me. She was loyal and honest and definitely brave. She was my family. She is my family. Also, I'm so grateful that I got a great coach like her. I hope she'll be back next year because I won't be re-injuring myself in basketball for anyone that can't and won't build me back up to where I am now. Thank you.
Next is Jalia.
Good evening. My name is Jalia Barber. I am a freshman at Beloit Memorial High School as well as a player on the varsity girls basketball team. So I want to start this off with a question for the board. Where's Dr. Garrison?
Dr. Garrison tonight, he was here earlier. He's at the Chamber of Commerce dinner tonight.
Oh, okay.
Where all the businesses in the city are.
Oh, okay.
So he's double spaced. Yeah.
Okay, a dinner. Okay. I'm here to take the time to talk about how amazing of a coach Coach DJ is. Ever since I was in middle school, I've had Coach DJ in my corner training with me, encouraging me, believing in me. It means a lot to have someone that supports you and truly cares about you outside of family. And for me, Coach DJ has always been that person. Now that I am in high school and nothing has changed, she still always pushed me to be better in all aspects of life. To take her away from us hurts more than you all know because it has always been deeper than basketball. She's there every time I need something, not just as a coach, but as a mentor, a support system, and even a listening ear. She keeps me together during my sport. She always pushes me to get better grades, goes above and beyond to find opportunities for me and the team. It really doesn't get any better than Coach DJ. The love, time, and sacrifice she gives this team is like no other. She fights for us more than any administrator ever has. All we hear is, we hear you, we are with you, but you're not. If you really are with us like you say you are, then our coach would be with us. She would be able to support us at games. She would be able to have any type of contact with us. It really shows how much we are respected as a program. From having the West Social Central investigation brushed away like it never happened, it really shows how much we are respected as a program. It's crazy how the only person who had our back in that situation is now being taken away from us. Let's talk about who didn't have our back. Not an athletic director, not a superintendent, not a police officer, not any type of administrator. It was our head coach, our mentor, our support system, Coach DJ. all of our basketball accomplishments so far, how good we are doing academics, who we are as a person. Hear me when I say it wouldn't be possible without Coach DJ. So, we are all here asking you to please reinstate Coach DJ. It truly gets no better than her. Thank you.
Next, I have Nina.
Hello, my name is Nina. I've been playing basketball since I was eligible to play in 4th grade. The first time I came here to play basketball, I was warmly welcomed by Coach DJ and her staff. She is a very honest coach and acts professionally when teaching us how to get better and acquire skills. Along the way, we hit a roadblock and stopped playing basketball. The person who protected us and deserves the credit the most is Coach DJ. Now, what I see as a freshman in basketball, a program, and a family, have one of the best role models taken is disgraceful on the school for allowing her suspension. Tapping without giving us reason is absolutely disgusting. We as a program are supposed to know what happens to our coach and the reason. The fact you allowed to keep us in the shadow about your reasoning makes me believe you have no reason. This makes me assume you guys had no reason to. Coach DJ is an astounding role model to make us better at basketball. She did a good job fixing and caring for this program. This program means a lot to us, and we, as not just a program, but a family, should know what happened. This program probably won't be here next year if you can't give a valid reason or just bring her back. Thank you.
Next, we have Maya.
Wait, I don't want to speak too loud. Okay. Hi, I'm Maya Garcia. I'm a sophomore at Biltmore High School. I'm not good at giving speeches, but I know Coach DJ would stand up and speak up for me. Coach DJ has helped me on and off the court. She's helped me work on my shooting. She's helped me work on shooting the ball and my ball handling skills on the court. She's also given me faith that I didn't have in myself. She's also helped me off the court. She's helped me when I was crying and I felt like I couldn't do it anymore. She stayed up talking to me when I needed a person to vent to. She's given me a ride home. My mom was working late at night. She's helped me with my school issues when I was having a rough day at school, and I know I could always call her, and she would always answer. She's always been there for me. She's always been there for all of us. She really doesn't have to. She only gets paid to be a coach, not a second mother. But you, as a head board, taking this into consideration, please don't take my coach away. Thank you.
Next, I have Carmela.
I stand here before you all today, not only as a Beloit parent, but a concerned community member, born and raised in Beloit, Wisconsin. I grew up here in a single-parent home, and if it had not been for the ones who believed and encouraged me as a child, I'm not sure where I would be. It was my cross-country coach, Roy Strait, my cheerleading coach, Deanne Evans, my mentor, Tasha Montgomery, and Mr. Carl Jenkins, and my English teacher as well. Majority looked like me. I say all this so that you might understand today in society, family structure is unique. I have heard and seen how Coach DJ is a family to a lot of the children in this community. Please consider how these children are being affected and going to be affected if you continue to take away someone who is planting seeds of love, encouragement, and guidance to the children in our community. Listen to the children. Their voices matter, and everyone deserves grace.
Next, I have Camille.
Hello, I'm Camille, and I'll be reading Antonia's speech because she cannot be here today. I just feel like everyone is on the outside looking in on a situation they know very little about, and for a situation they know so little about, they sure did a lot of talking. Some people are with us and some are without. I just feel like we need our coach back. With Coach DJ, we are able to voice our own opinions and speak our minds with also hearing her as our coach. I can't speak for everyone, but I share a lot of my personal businesses with Coach DJ. I never thought I would share with any coach. People on the outside looking in need to understand she's way more than just a coach for us. She's been there for us as an individual and as a team. We've created bonds and are way closer than ever because of this coach. Losing her has had a big impact on the program and the team. # give us our coach back.
Next, I have Jocelyn.
Hi, I was gonna come up here and read off somebody else, but don't have that. But I'm really just up here because there's no way y'all put her on leave because of an email. There's no way. It can't be. That reason, because of an email, everything that happens in Beloit and y'all worried about an email from Coach DJ. I'm just so I don't know whether to be mad or laugh at this because there's no way y'all put her on leave because of an email. I have no words. That's all I got.
Next, I have Connie.
Hello, board members. As you all know, I am the student representative. I sit right there, but today I'm a student, a community member, and somebody who have seen my peers tear apart each day they are without their coach. The impact she has on not only our students, but our community is huge. And each day, for you guys that you have to hear this, is each day, each and every single one of these members don't get to talk to her. They don't have the safe place to go to all the time, and now they don't have her. It takes a lot to make this room fill up, but it also takes a lot to have people who are outside of this district to look into our district and see that they need to come here and speak because no change is being done. So, as I stand here today, I'm not only speaking for Coach DJ, but I'm speaking for the peers that I have who cannot show up. I'm speaking for the peers that I have who do not have a home to go to right now. I'm speaking for my peers who have been through so much while she's been gone. And I hope, not only as board members, but as human beings, you start looking into this situation fully, because obviously something is not being done right. Thank you.
Next, I have Mary Ann.
To piggyback on what Connie said, I am actually speaking on behalf of someone outside of this district looking in. I'm speaking on behalf of the incomparable Coach Angie Murphy, who was inducted in the Wisconsin Coaches Hall of Fame in 2013 and won Coach of the Year in the Big 8 for girls basketball in 2023. She wrote in on Coach DJ's behalf, and she said, "I am writing you on behalf of Coach Delana Johnson. Before my retirement from coaching after last season, my Verona Wildcats played Delana's team countless times. I have to say that I always walked away from our games versus Beloit impressed with Coach Johnson. Not only was she always professional on the sidelines, she never, ever stopped coaching her girls up no matter what the score of the game was. She was always teaching and encouraging from the sideline. She found a way to maximize the talent on her teams, and they were always well coached. Her passion for the game was evident not only from the sidelines, but before and after the game. Coach Johnson always wanted to learn more and become a better coach. Not many coaches are humble enough to always want to improve. Delana was and is. I have always been a fan of hers, both on and off the court. Having a daughter who loved basketball and played through high school, I would confidently put her in Delana's hands to be her coach. Not only do I think my daughter could learn the game from her, I know without any doubt that Delana Johnson is an incredible role model for young women. Losing her at Beloit would be so sad for the girls she has led and will continue to lead. Don't let a great coach and person go, for there aren't many out there like her."
Next, I have Kiana.
Good evening, my name is Kiana King. I'm a sophomore at Beloit Memorial High School and a member of the Beloit girls basketball team. I am here today to share my experience with our head coach, Coach DJ. Coach DJ has not only been an exceptional coach on the court, but has also been an incredible leader off, offering her ear and as well as her arms in any situation we might find ourselves struggling in. Our coach truly has been our best. Sorry about that. Our coach, I just breathe, you know. Our coach truly has our best interests at heart, and her efforts and passion deeply go to show that. As many have said, Coach DJ has had tremendous impact on my team and I as individuals and as a whole. There are no lengths she would not go for her players. Need a shoulder, coach is there. Need someone to talk to, coach is there. Need food, clothes, or any other necessity, coach is there. My freshman year is when I met Coach DJ. That year I had originally planned to go to wrestling, but plans later changed after being met with a team full of love and compassion. They were not simply just a team, but a family. Their energy captivating. I couldn't help but find myself wanting to be a part of something more than a team. Something special. Not long after joining the Beloit girls basketball team did I realize the true source of this energy was Coach DJ. Her influence and her leadership dominated the team. In the midst of this year, my family and I struggled heavily financially, and when it came to providing food and clothes as well. Whilst this isn't information you can just go and show or tell anyone about without feeling safe or trusted, but I can say truly I felt both with Coach DJ. Coaches DJ and Asha, being the amazing people they are, not only went out of their way to supply us with food, clothes, and transportation, but were also there to support our mental health as well. I'm positive if you were to ask any other student athlete how many times their coach has went out of their way to do something that is not required of them, most will say none. This basketball team has simply changed people's lives. So much good has already been achieved, and so much more awaits, depending on you guys. So many memories and so many bonds. We aren't just the team for the title. We're growing, we're learning, we're thriving with each other. Coach DJ deserves nothing but respect and honor brought upon her name. he deserves to be well accommodated for all the hardships he's pushed through for us. So to say in the least, my experience with Coach DJ was nothing short of a miracle.
Next, I have Lanaya, and I have two people that are yielding time, Asha and Quintessence.
Hi, my name is Lanaya, but I'm going to be speaking for Lamika Davis, a former parent and Bree's mom. Dear school board members, I am writing to express my support for Coach DJ, who has recently been placed on an administrative leave. As a parent of two of the students she's coached, I've seen firsthand the positive impact she has on on our children, both on and off the court. Coach DJ does more than teach basketball. She teaches life lessons in teamwork, perseverance, and personal growth. She has been a guiding type for our kids, offering support and encouragement that extends beyond the game. Her dedication to our children's success and well-being is evident in everything she does. Losing someone of her caliber, even temporarily, is a loss to our entire school community. I respectfully ask that her contributions and the difference she makes in our children's lives be considered during your review. We hope to see her back in the role soon, continuing to make a positive impact on our children. Thank you.
And that concludes public comment.
First of all, I would like to share again that that we as a board have heard you again tonight. Specifically, I want to address a couple things. I do hear the urgency as it was relayed about how the delaying of this decision is affecting some students' mental health. That is a serious matter to us, but we alone, the seven of us, do not control the timeline of events that will take place here. And this is an uncomfortable position, but I do have to explain this, and I'll state it just like this. Not only am I the board president, but I am also a father. I'm a father of a young black female who is in the Junior Knights basketball program. So I'm not a stranger to the situation. I care about what happens in the life of girls because I am raising one with my wife. We have a responsibility to all the children in the school district of Beloit. And the tough part about being a parent sometimes, and even in this leadership position, is there are things that people want to have happen, but it just doesn't work in that way. There's a way that things have to go, and you have to stand and explain to people what that process is so we're clear and we have clear expectations about what we can expect and when. So first of all, again, as we have continued to receive public comment, this is a matter that we as board members are taking seriously. The event at Westosha has been written about by Westosha itself and our superintendent. The technical thing that happened on the basketball court with the referees, just reading from Dr. Garrison's report, the School District of Beloit, Westosha, and the Southern Lakes Conference agreed that the referees during the Westosha-Beloit game would not be invited back to any SLC games in the future. Even with this decision, the School District of Beloit did not pause its investigation and continued communicating with parents and parties involved. So layers to this event. The event that happened on the court, That's work that's done by the administrators, Dr. Garrison, and the athletic director, working with the other superintendents in the conference to say that those referees would not be invited to any future SOC conference games. That's a concrete action and a step that takes care of a technical problem which happened on the basketball court. Dr. Garrison also wrote in his report that although there are multiple viewpoints regarding the events leading up to and during the investigation, the School District of Beloit concludes that our coaches did the right thing in leaving the field of play. We support the decision of the SLC conference to no longer allow these officials to referee games in our conference moving forward. So Dr. Garrison, who represents over 800 employees and over 5,200 students, 6,000 people in the School District of Beloit, employees and students, that he's responsible for their actions in conducting things. He said that what the coaches did in choosing to leave the game, our administration supported that decision. The next part is the part that is very technical. And this is the part that'll be a little frustrating, possibly, because it is a personnel matter. From public comment, from emails sent, there's a description of a relationship, an employment relationship between the coach, who has a supplemental contract, and the School District of Beloit. You all have given testimony that speaks to the invaluable service that you feel the coach has rendered to you. You have spoken beautifully on the types of contributions she's made to your life. When it comes to the personnel matter, the 7 of us as a school board are at the end of the process. But because we are elected officials and you come to public comment and you have a concern about what is going on in the district, you can make the comments as you have done to us. But the 7 of us, when we take action, it's not what one of us thinks, but it has to be the majority of us. In most occasions when we're together at 7 people, so it takes 4 of us to come to the same conclusion for us to be able to say that this is what will happen. Again, in the personnel matter, we are not at that step because nothing has been presented to us regarding what to be done with that action. When explained on last, we did take a vote earlier because there was a change in coaching duties. There's a different level of compensation that needed to be provided to the person who assumed those duties. So that is a personnel action that had to be taken, and that was taken. But again, in this process of the personnel matter between the coaches' relationship and their employment, there's an athletic director, there's an HR director, there's the superintendent. Many things that have been shared from the mic are not things that have been directly given to us through official channels because, again, we are at the end of that process. So this comes back to the space of understanding that when you don't have all the details, there's a lot of things that could be filled in with I don't know or misinformation. But the reality of the situation that we're in is that in fairness to the coach, the district does not just stand up and give all information about that person's employment to the public because they have that right to privacy in their employment. What details that person may share, that is their choice, but the district cannot just, as an employer, just stand up and give details. So we are at a place where, like you said, it's a matter between an individual, but it's a public role. You're coaching a high school basketball team, and we've received public comment. So the next steps in the matter, employees have to pursue conversations with their employer and their employer will tell them, and they have that dialogue. If and when things come to us, that is the space where we will be making decisions. And of course, again, because this is like our second night of conversation, additionally, this is something that we will end up talking with Dr. Garrison about. I'm the board president, it's my responsibility. So respectfully, because we are all from Beloit, we're all here. Just because we don't immediately do the thing that you want us to do does not mean that we don't support you. In all of these things, I just ask for patience and understanding that none of us are looking at 100% of all the pieces. And that's why you see the caution that we take and move forward with. So it's not out of it doesn't matter to us or that the concerns you've expressed are not real. We understand that they are real. But that is how we have to proceed at this time. So that's the end of public comment. Well, as I explained it, here's the direction. Right now, I took the time to explain this the way I did because I realized that I have a room full of young people in the room. I'm not saying anything about your ability to comprehend. This is not a forum for the asking of questions, but this is not the forum for the asking of questions. In this process, you'd have the ability to talk with Dr. Garrison because he is the superintendent. He's not here right now at this time because he's doing another part of his job. Dr. Garrison was here when the team, there's been multiple opportunities for you all to speak with Dr. Garrison, and he will continue to be available. There's an athletic director. There are people to speak. Okay. There at this point to explain how to help you and what you're seeking to do is you have the ability to talk with individual board members when we're not in this meeting, and you'll have the opportunity to speak with the school representatives that are there with you on a day-to-day basis. And like I said, I took the time to explain because I don't want you to leave frustrated, not understanding what can be done or other methods that you can take to pursue what you would like to have happen. So if there are no more, we are at the end of public comment now, and we're going to continue in our agenda. We're going to take about a 5-minute recess. All right, I'm ready. Here we go. All right, we're coming back from our 5-minute recess, which was longer than 5 minutes. We have just gotten to the public comment section, and we're on to committee and other board reports, business operations and finance.
The Business Operations and Finance Committee meeting met, we met earlier this evening at 5:30, and Mr. Chady went through the financials for January and year-to-date for us, and did an amazing job, as he always does, and he keeps adding positive things to the report, which makes it easier for us. We then went, which has been sent to you, the regular board, the full board, is the Information Technology Management Services Agreement extension for 24-25 and 25-26. We'll talk about that later. Also, Mr. Chady and Mr. Brico talked to us about the proposed roofing project at Hackett for this coming summer, and we approved that, and that's for your full board approval tonight later. We also discussed the cash flow line of credit with First Mid-Bank Trust, and that's up sent to the board also. And then we had a presentation by Chartwells, our new food vendor, and they're amazing. They brought a whole new, from my experience, they brought a whole new experience for food for our children all through the district, and teachers and staff, and it was very, very well done. So I think we're fortunate to have them. And we adjourned at 6:30.
Is that teaching, learning, equity, and people services next?
Oh, I have a question about that report, if that's okay.
Go ahead, Board Member Levy.
Thank you. Is there a reason the January financials are not on the consent agenda for this evening?
Good catch. I didn't catch that. But
Okay. Teaching, learning, equity, and people services.
We did not meet, but we will meet next week. Well, we met when we were supposed to. Our next meeting will be, I actually don't know the date, but 14 days from now. And I would just like to, even though we didn't meet tonight, I'm still excited and enthusiastic about the amazing social studies update that we got. So thank a teacher, and particularly thank a social studies teacher. It's great stuff happening.
Okay. Governance Committee. The Governance Committee did meet on February 27th. We addressed our agendas, our agenda cadence, special meeting and workshops. Just briefly, as we've been with Dr. Garrison about 1.5 years now, and our last structure of our meetings and the cadence of when we met, some kind of board norms that we've developed or developed as we work with Dr. Kieser. We're looking to kind of fine-tune, work through the month of April, how we might meet more effectively and efficiently, to work into our calendar also things like special meetings where we're receiving reports, special meetings like when we're doing superintendent evaluation, workshops like when we're talking about academic achievement, attendance, and having the proper forum, creating the proper forums even for engagement, because there's a lot to squeeze into a regular board meeting. As example tonight with our public comment, that we want to make sure that we have created the appropriate structure to have the meeting that is necessary, and that we can put them on our calendar and predict, with reasonableness what our times might be, and to move with efficiency and maximize the opportunity to meet for all board members. So that was our agenda cadence, special meetings, workshops. And we also talked about the referendum and received more advisement on what board members can and cannot do to advocate for that referendum. The conversation about our cadence and our meetings will come back around, because we also talked about committees and structures and things like that. Legislative Update Policy Committee.
Policy Committee will meet tomorrow in this space at 5:30, and the agenda is posted all are welcome.
All right, we're now on to 4A, resolution authorizing a taxable tax and revenue anticipation promissory note for cash flow purposes in an amount not to exceed $7 million.
Yeah, so our existing or former line of credit with First Mid Bank and Trust had expired on February 1st, so we are looking to renew that line of credit with them with the anticipation that we may very well need to tap that line in mid-June. That would be when we hit our next low point with regards to cash in the fiscal year. So just an added protection that if we get to that point, we'll certainly take measures, appropriate measures to mitigate the need to make that draw. There are some things that we can do like writing checks, but not necessarily dropping them in the mail until the cash is received from the state. So we'll work to do that as well. But more importantly, we need to renew that line of credit so that we have that availability to us both here at the midpoint of June. And then again, there may be an opportunity or a need for us to access that line over the summer months in that August, early September timeframe as well. So just providing the accessibility to those funds if needed.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Chady, or is there a motion?
I have a question. Two-part. One, is there a reason that our ability to borrow money through this line lapsed? And part B of that is there any harm that the district will incur or any additional difficulties because of that lapse? And it sounds like we now need to get that ability to access funds restarted.
So the line lapsed as a timing issue. You may recall back about 3.5, 4 months ago, the board entered into a 3-month extension of the line of credit with Blackhawk Bank at the time for a couple of things. One, the district just wasn't quite ready and prepared to go forward with a good cash flow projection to fulfill our obligations with regards to application. And two, that was kind of at the exact same time frame that Blackhawk Bank was being acquired by First Mid Bank and Trust. So our local lender suggested that perhaps we renew a 3-month line of credit extension just to kind of get over that hurdle for both parties. The line lapsed without any real issue because I knew we were good from a cash perspective. So, I mean, honestly, we're fine from a cash perspective unless some unforeseen circumstance happens up until about probably the 10th day of June. So we know, that far in advance that we should be able to meet our obligations. So no harm to anybody currently, no.
And thank you for that. And I guess my follow-up question is, the way that we are restructuring, the way we, and by we, I mean the administration, so let me make sure my language is accurate. The way the administrative team is structuring the budget and putting that together, it's a different cadence than what we have been used to in the past. I think that's a good thing. With that new structure in place, do you foresee us avoiding these lapses in our ability to borrow through this line if needed?
Yeah, I think they're a little bit, I'm not sure that the budget cadence really has much bearing other than we cannot, so the line of credit that we're seeking now gives us borrowing authority through June 30th of 2024, so the end of the fiscal year. The next need to renew the cash flow borrowing will occur after the budget hearing, which last year was done, I think, in October, though we're trying to move that up preferably to like a mid to late August, early September timeframe. State statutes doesn't allow us to renew or enter into a new line of credit borrowing tax and revenue anticipation note until after the budget hearing process is done. So there is that period of time between July 1st and when the budget hearing is completed, and then the board takes action and we restore a new line of credit, that we do not have the ability to enter into a new line or seek additional funds. So knowing that there's that period of time, the business office has to be very diligent in doing forecasting with our cash flow to identify if there's a need that comes up in, say, the second week, third week of August, because we have to then borrow the money on or before June 30th, carry those assets until we need them, but of course, then we're paying interest expense all that time as well. So,
No, thank you. That's helpful. And one thing that I wasn't specifically thinking about is this ability to borrow up to $7 million. If we use it, it would probably be within a 30-day window, because you said, absent a thing that we can't think of now, we're good until June, and this authority expires June 30th.
yeah, so let's just say we have to tap the line of credit for, I'll just use 2 million as an example, the early part of June. It would likely be we would be able to repay that probably within 10 days. We'll get our final large state equalization aid and other payments from the state on June 17th. So, if we have to take out or borrow, $2 million on June 9th, we'll repay it on June 17th when our cash comes in, and we'll just have interest expense then on those 8 days of carry costs.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Any other questions? I think the recommended action is there. Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to move approval of Resolution 23 to 24.03, a resolution authorizing taxable tax and revenue anticipation promissory note for cash flow purposes in an amount not to exceed $7 million.
Second.
Moved by Board Member Megan Miller, approved, seconded by Board Member Amy Levy. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 We need a roll.
Whoa. Oh, it's a roll call vote required. Okay, that's my fault. Mrs. Shope, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Tia Johnson,
Aye.
Brian Nichols,
Aye.
Megan Miller,
Aye.
Amy Levy,
Aye.
Craig Schneider,
Aye.
and Sean Levy.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously.
All right. And there's paperwork Greg and I need to sign afterward also? Okay. Yep, and, Brian too? Okay, yeah, we get everybody together. All right. So we are now on to B, Information Technology Managed Services Agreement 24-25, 25-26 school years.
Yeah, thank you. So back before the board meeting now this evening is the managed service agreement for information technology for the next 2 school years, 24-25, 25-26 school year. Our current agreement with TC Networks expires here at the end of the current school year. This has been before the committee, Business Operations and Finance Committee, for the past 3 or 4 months or so. And I think we're now to the point of bringing it before the board and agreeing to or entering into that contract going forward. I will point out that TC Networks was the only vendor that submitted a bid proposal to our federal E-rate Form 470, which is kind of the federal form for an RFP process. They did submit their response back. In looking at that, and my own faux pas of not getting the right document attached in the write-up last month, I was reflecting on that and looking at what transpired a year ago. And a year ago, TC Networks had provided a 3-year contract locking their rate for the 3 years to the school district of Beloit. For whatever reason, the administration recommended, the committee, board, whatever, they agreed to a 1-year extension and not the 3 years. So in the most recent TC Network proposal that they brought forward for the next 2 school years, it included a 4% rate increase. and I just kind of curiously contacted TC Network and asked them if they might reconsider the proposal that they provided the board last year, which provided the 3 years at the $784,000 value, and they agreed to honor that for these next 2 years for us. So we did provide a little bit of cost savings over the last month, so we've got that to bank on as well.
Any board members have questions for Mr. Chady?
Not so much of a question, but a comment, but I would like for you to jump in if I understood this incorrectly. I am uncomfortable that there are no bids for us to compare this to. And I understand that TC Networks were the only one that completed the bid, but if I am understanding it correctly, our typical operating procedures is we put out the RFP, and then in most cases, we encourage entities to submit a bid. And if I was understanding the information that you provided to us or the last 2 meetings was that we don't know enough about what we need for technology to reach out to entities and ask them or encourage them to apply. And for me, I think that's unacceptable. For us to be ignorant of our needs for something that's so critical for our district and unable to reach out so that we can compare this against something else is just not something that I'm comfortable with. I never had a bad experience with TC Networks. I think they're great, but I don't think we've done our due diligence, so this isn't something that I'm able to support.
So I understand that, and I would remind the board that we use the federal E-rate process, which is required to be able to access the $275,000 in reimbursement costs. That process is a nationwide proposal that any vendor that was looking to provide a quote or a bid proposal had the opportunity to respond to and provide that. And the only vendor that did was TC Networks.
I completely understand that, and thank you for the reiteration. My 2 concerns that I wasn't going to bring up is one, I believe that's a 3-week window that we're required to have that out.
28 days.
28 days, thank you. Our submission, if memory serves me correctly, went out December 20th. It was like the 20th or the 22nd. I don't think anyone's looking at bid proposals between December 22nd and the end of the year. So that theoretically cut off a week. And just as the administration did with the Jacobson lighting, we understood what we needed for lighting. So we reached out and encouraged people. And I get that it was open, but all RFPs are open. And I am not comfortable that, again, we're ignorant to what our needs are and not able to reach out, if I understood the messaging that you gave us in the prior 2 meetings. And therefore, we are unable to compare this to actively solicit or encourage bids, so we have something to compare this to, so we know we're getting a good rate and a good service. So for a learning institution to not have that knowledge and unless I'm missing something, not actively seek that knowledge is troubling to me.
I understand that. You can have that position and opinion as well. I would also remind the board that the district entered into a contract with TC Networks back in 2019. The contract value, $784,000 in change, has remained the same for each year, so they've not provided any cost increase to the district over those years. So, could we have sought other vendors? We could have. Not sure that it was necessary for us to do so utilizing the federal E-rate process.
I don't understand what one has to do with the other, because even if we did have another bid, that wouldn't preclude us from using the E-rate. If we apply for the E-rate, if I'm understanding it correctly, these are the allotted dollars that we have. And if we had 3 bids, we could have applied that E-rate to any of those that we would have selected.
Correct, and there was nothing that prevented any vendor from submitting a bid as a response to our request.
I understand that, and I'm not a fan of repetition, so this is the last time I'll say it. We are ignorant to what our needs are, as it was explained to the board. And that ignorance did not allow us to reach out and encourage bids as we have done in other scenarios. And that is what's problematic for me.
Very well.
Yeah, at this point, kind of with that information, so I'm just going to provide a different framing. This is what the administration has placed before us. Part of the conversation that you're having is a conversation that I think that the board would have to have with Dr. Garrison. But tonight, what Dr. Garrison and the team have presented to us is that they would like to use TC Networks to continue to provide these services for the district. Are there any other questions or comments from board members? Is there a motion?
I move to approve the district entering into a 2-year contract extension with TC Networks to provide our information technology management services for the 2024 to 25 and the 2025 to 26 school years.
Second.
Second by, motion by Board Member Greg Schneider, second by Board Member Brian Nichols. Is there any discussion?
I'd like a roll call vote, please.
Okay. All right. Mrs. Schultz, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Sure. Greg Schneider,
Aye.
Amy Levy,
Nay.
Megan Miller,
Aye.
Brian Nichols,
Aye.
Tia Johnson,
Aye.
and Sean Levy.
Aye.
Motion carried 5-1.
Summer 24 proposed roofing project, Hackett Elementary Schools.
Yeah, so before the board this evening is a proposal request to undertake roofing section replacements at Hackett Elementary School. This was before the board earlier this evening and then previously last month as well. Total price on that, what was it, Tommy? $477,351.
Okay. Are there any questions from board members? Okay, is there a motion?
I move to approve to undertake the roofing replacement on the identified sections of Hackett Elementary School at the cost of no more than $477,351.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Board Member Greg Schneider, seconded by Board Member Megan Miller. Is there any discussion? All right. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. All right, that sounds unanimous to me. So that's unanimous. All right, we're on to our consent agenda. The consent agenda, typically, there is no separate discussion of the items unless a board member so requests, in which event the items will be removed from the general order of business and considered in their normal sequence on the agenda. Does anybody want anything removed from the consent agenda? Okay. Is there a motion for the consent agenda?
So move the approval of tonight's consent agenda.
Second.
Oh, go ahead, Brian.
All right, it's been moved by Board Member Amy Levy, seconded by Board Member Brian Nichols, that we approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Oh, I almost forgot to vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, that's unanimous. Okay, next thing. 6, future meeting dates. By unanimous consent, the consent agenda was approved. Future meeting dates, Policy Committee, tomorrow, Wednesday, March 6th at 5:30 p.m. Teaching, Learning, Equity, and Pupil Services, Tuesday, March 19th at 5:30 p.m. Human Resources, Tuesday, March 19th at 6:30 p.m. our regular board meeting Tuesday, March 19th at 7 p.m. And we are now at our meeting closing. And is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Board Member Megan Miller, seconded by Board Member Amy Levy. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes unanimously. We are adjourned at 8:36 p.m.